Well, hello and good morning. My name is Paula Robbins, and I am the founder of Consciouspreneurs International. And I'm here with my very dear friend and powerhouse, George Carroll. And thank you so much for showing up here and taking this time out for us, George. I know you've got such a busy schedule, but it's been so cool to watch you over these last many years. I want to say it's probably 10 or 11. We kind of stepped into our consciouspreneurism around the same time when I started my hypnotherapy practice, and you were just at the time focusing on NLP. So tell us what's happened. I mean, you've had an incredible journey, and just kind of watching from the sidelines with a few quick check-ins and hugs, you've grown so much, and it's just been such an honor to be your friend and walk beside you. So tell us about the journey.
Thanks, Paula. Yeah, so great to reconnect with you. I mean, I remember the day that we met in person. I think we were friends on Facebook, and then it was the, I forgot, Denny's meeting that they had every month, and I approached you, and then we had coffee, and the friendship blossomed from there. So always an honor to stay in touch and keep tracks and dibs of what's going on in your world too. Let's see. Yeah. So when I started my business, I had a big vision to become a motivational speaker and speak in front of large audiences. And when I started my business, I didn't know where to start. So I started working with people one-on-one. I had my certification in NLP, which stands for Neuro-Linguistic Programming, as many of you probably know. And I just started as an NLP coach, and I was doing some small workshops in the beginning. And, from there, I wish I can tell you that I rode off into the sunset, but within the first year I went bankrupt. I fell flat on my face and had a lot of learning experiences along the way. So I'm sure we'll touch on some more of my journey, but that was the beginning. And sometimes I think about if I would have known what was going to happen before I started the journey, I probably wouldn't have started. But anyway, more on that later.
Yeah, it's a good point too. And so let's talk about that for a second. What has been your greatest growth point? I mean, 10 years is a long time. What is it, 10, 11? How many years have you been on this particular path since you and I met?
Yeah, you're spot on. You're spot on. It's about 10 and a half years at this point. May of 2009 was when I officially started my business.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So what would you say is that big growth point of all of the things that you've grown through? And there's been a lot. You're so honest and so raw, and I always love that about your message. And I think that's what has really drawn such an incredible following to you, is just how real you are. So what's been the big one?
I appreciate that. There are actually three that come to mind for me. The first one was after I filed for bankruptcy. I realized that I couldn't do it on my own and that I needed a mentor or a coach. And I remember meeting this woman. Her name was Ingrid Elver, and we met at this networking event, and she was a speaker there, and she was speaking on social media. And after her presentation, there was networking going on. I was talking to this guy, and Ingrid comes over, introduces herself, and I said, I lean over to the guy. I said, "Hey, this is Ingrid. She's a social media consultant." And she kind of looks at me with this, this "how dare you" kind of look. And I said, what? She said, "Well, I'm not a social media consultant." I said, "Well, what do you do?" She said, "I help coaches become celebrities in their industry." And the minute she said that, I was like, "Oh, damn, we need to talk." And so, a week later, we get on the phone for 30 minutes, and she's telling me all about how she can help me grow my business. And I'm inspired. My intuition is saying yes. And by the end of it, she said, "Do you have any questions?" I'm like, no, I'm ready to go. Other than, what's it going to cost? What's the investment? And she said, "Are you sitting down?" I said, "Yeah, I'm sitting down." "Why?" She said, "It's $10,000. And literally my balls shriveled. And it was a fear contraction. And from that fear contraction, my response was, "Well, I can't afford that." And she called me on it. She said, "That's one of your blocks." She said, "You're used to looking at your bank account and deciding what you're going to invest in from there, instead of trusting yourself and trusting the universe that you're powerful enough to create the results and the universe has your back." And the minute she said that, there was just so much truth to that. And I said, "Okay, let's do it." And then within 3 months of working with her, my business had tripled. And it just blew my mind how quickly we could grow when we have somebody in our corner who's coaching and mentoring us. So that was one big growth spurt that I had. And then fast forward a few years later, I was guided I moved to San Diego, and I was all about like making money and having nice things and all the ego stuff that, that was coming up for me. And along the way, I made a couple of really bad business decisions. Do you remember Empower Network?
Mm-hmm.
That was one of them. I pretty much went all in with my business into Empower Network. That was a horrible decision. And as a result of that, my business pretty much tanked. And I was then guided to sell all of my belongings and live homeless out of my car for 8.5 months. And during that 8.5 months, life stripped me of my attachment to external things. And I realized that I could be happy and free without anything out externally, that I could just be happy and free. And so that was a huge growth spurt. And then not long after that, I moved to Portland in 2015. And since then, my business has just exploded because I don't have that neediness anymore. I could lose everything and still be fine. So there's this freedom and this willingness to take big risks because there's nothing to lose. So that was a big growth spurt for me. And then the third one that comes to mind is becoming a dad. And I know you, Paula, as a mom, you know that feeling of when life becomes not about you anymore. First time I held my boy in my arms, I just wept and I cried, and I get emotional thinking about it now. But it's like life just became about raising spirits in this world, raising human beings, and it wasn't about me anymore. So I think those are the three that really pop for me.
Yeah, I still to this day, I can't tell the story of the day I became a mother without coming to tears. It's just, I have so many roles in my life. I'm a healer and a mom and a mentor and a, metaphysician and a girlfriend. I mean, I have all these roles that I love and I cherish, but that role of mom takes the cake for sure.
Nothing like it. How about for you? Is there something a big growth spurt that happened for you along the way that maybe your members don't know about?
It's a great question. And I would probably say it was really subtle. It was probably around my first or second year as a hypnotherapist. And I was in a session, and I'm highly intuitive. So I get like information and it downloads or it channels. And I was with a client, and I just started speaking in a way that I knew without any hesitation was spirit speaking through me, and that I was really, really, really crystal clear on what I needed to say and do to really support and help the healing of this particular individual. And it was just so incredibly confirming that I'm supposed to be on this path. I have to do this work. And it was so fulfilling to be able to watch the shift for that client. So it was just a matter of tuning into the fact that, one, we all have intuition. No one is exempt. And when we trust it and we allow it, it becomes exponential. So it was just really a significant moment. And I remember the client, I remember the office space. It was that same office space. I was over on the 11th floor when I very first met you. And it was just an incredible moment. So, and I've had, of course, hundreds of them since that are similar to that. Because every now and again, we move into that place, and this one well, and we kind of doubt ourselves. Like, where'd that thought come from? Should I follow it? Does it mean anything? And the doubt comes and goes much more quickly. Typically I can tell, is that me or is that the divine? And when it's the divine, that's where I roll.
Powerful.
Yeah.
Love it.
It really was. So you've gotten to do a tremendous amount of speaking now. You've spoken all over the country, and I'm guessing anything out of the country yet?
No, nothing out of the country yet. If anything, I'm trying to stay closer to Pacific Northwest and not travel so much.
Well, you're in demand a lot more now, so that's pretty possible.
Yep.
So of all of these speaking gigs, it's so fun to watch your Facebook Lives and your little snippets where you get the whole crowd to yell with you and shout with you and say hi. There's been some incredible, inspiring moments for you in that space, in that vibration, with all of those spirits and all of that energy. What would you say is one of the most inspiring moments as a speaker, whether it's the high energy or the one-on-one in those spaces?
Let's see. So big audiences or one-on-one?
Yeah.
Well, one
As
of
a speaker.
oh, as a speaker. Okay. So are we talking about corporate audiences or like greatest year of your life audiences?
It's up to you. Where
Because
have
there's,
you been inspired by this role that you have taken on? Because you've taken on a big role.
yeah, because they're two totally different models. With corporate speaking, I think one of the biggest inspirations that I got, one of the most powerful moments that I was able to have with an audience was, it was an audience of about 150 lawyers, and the topic was that I was speaking on was mastering your purpose story, and it was helping these attorneys learn the power of telling their story in a vulnerable way to their clients, because their model was, they would have workshops, and they were estate planning attorneys, so they would have these workshops on the importance of planning, after death. And it was a phenomenal presentation, and just in terms of like, these attorneys were so open-hearted, and typically, we have our own associations to attorneys. But there was a particular woman in that audience who had this massive breakthrough, because I talked to them about how their past experiences were the catalyst to help them find the work that they're doing now, and to help them kind of connect those dots was really powerful. And this one woman just had this really powerful breakthrough in the audience about seeing how her past led her to exactly where she was. And so that was a really powerful experience. And other than that, when I'm speaking in the corporate realm, I'm more of an entertainer. And so, there's a lot of inspiration, a lot of motivation that happens, but I tell a lot of jokes. And so that's typically what they hire me for, which is a ton of fun for me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fun. Well, then what's one of the bigger ones for greatest year of your life? Because that's been your just heart and soul for
Yeah.
these last several years. I mean, you have fallen in love with this gig, and I've gotten to see you at this gig live and just feel the energy and the presence and what you've really built there. It's amazing.
Yeah, I do love this event. With my own trainings and events, it's more of the raw, vulnerable. Let's get deep. Let's talk about anything. As to where in the corporate world, I got to filter a little bit more depending on the audience. But at Greatest Year of Your Life, I think one of the biggest transformations that I've seen is in 2018, a woman, and actually we're launching Greatest Year of Your Life on Amazon Prime Video really soon. And if people go to the gy20.us website, they can actually see this teaser. But her name was Aubrey, and she was super depressed. And on day 2 in the morning, I teach timeline transformation, the NLP process, where I take people back into time to a traumatic experience that happened, and we change it. And so this woman came up. She was really depressed, and when she was younger, her family like literally would push her face in poop when she was a kid, and she just, her self-esteem was dropped, and she was just really depressed. So she comes up, and we go back into those times, and we help her find more compassion by bringing the wisdom that she's gained through all of these years of being alive, 30 years of being alive. Bring all the love we have in her heart, and we bring her back into time to revisit that memory from that perspective. And then we do something called perceptual positions, where we drop her into each perspective of every person in that memory, even her parents who were shoving her face in shit, and to help her see that, hey, she didn't know at the time, they had their own pain. They had their own demons they were working with. And she had this I get emotional thinking about it, but she had this massive emotional breakthroughs. And by the end of that session, I mean, fast forward 18 months, like, she started her own business. She's rocking and rolling. She found love. Her self-confidence is just through the roof. And it's just amazing to see. But that's the one that really pops for me.
Well,
Good.
no.
I was going to say last year. So every year I bring people up to the stage and I do a one-on-one demonstration or facilitation with them. Last year, this woman came up. She's a lender running her own company, and she wants to do more speaking, but she had this huge fear of public speaking. So consciously, she knew that she wanted to go out and speak more often, but there was a part of her inside that was really afraid. And so what we found through the timeline experience was that when she was in grade school, she had a teacher tell her to be quiet because she had nothing valuable to say. And so that belief really stuck in there. As you know, as kids, we look up to our teachers as mentors, and we a lot of times take what they say as truth. And so she took in that as truth, and there was a part of her that was stuck in her psyche that was 8, 9 years old. And we changed the memory, changed the energy of it, and now she's just rocking and rolling in her business. And so she's another one of the teasers that we have on our website for the documentary.
Cool. Yeah, when I shared with the members that I was doing this interview, I'm pretty excited about your documentary that's coming out. So how exciting.
Yeah, it is exciting.
Yeah. Yeah. How long does the documentary run? What's the duration?
Right now we've edited it down to about 90 minutes. So it'll be anywhere from an hour and 15 minutes to 90 minutes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm looking forward to that. That's really cool.
Me too. I'm meeting with Michael. He's the mastermind behind all of this, and meeting with him tomorrow, watching it again and cutting. And so I think December 15th is our online launch date. So very soon.
Cool. Well, you kind of answered my next question. It was really, we walk this path as a consciouspreneur of wanting to serve and wanting to impact others in a positive way. And the next question was to tell us a story about the people that you've impacted. And you combined the two questions. How are you inspired and who have you impacted? And it's just that space of we are inspired when we have an opportunity to create breakthroughs or create support for someone in a big way like that. Mm-hmm. So that's pretty cool. Yeah. So as a consciouspreneur, I'm working with, this membership, and I'm expanding it, and I'm bringing together a collective and a movement of other consciouspreneurs. And it's stories like yours that I'm wanting to share with them and inspire them by. What would be one of the biggest pieces of advice that you would give to somebody who is stepping on this path of becoming an entrepreneur with a business model or offering in consciousness? What's been one of your biggest lessons that you would reflect back on if you knew then what you know now?
What a great question. And what comes up for me in this moment is something I learned along the way that really changed the way I looked at my business. And it's not sexy, but it's true. It's that whatever business we're in, so we're helping people transform limits or whatever it might be, whatever business we're in the business of marketing that business. And if we are unwilling to learn what's going on currently in the marketplace and how to effectively get our message out into the world, there's a good chance we're going to fall flat on our face. And so we have to make peace with marketing. We have to make peace with promoting ourselves. We have to make peace with sharing our work with the world. And in that, we have to make peace with being seen and being judged and being ridiculed. We have to make peace with all of that. If we're really going to get our work out into the world in a big way, we have to let it all out there. And so marketing is a really important part of the growing a successful business, of evolving it and ascending it. And I think that's the biggest lesson I've really learned. Something called modeling. So, and you're doing it with this program is find people who are achieving the level of success that you would like in your business and figure out what they're doing and apply some of the same strategies. And so that's all I've been doing. I make sure to, like, when I wanted to really have my speaking business take off, my corporate speaking business, I started looking for people who were crushing it in their corporate speaking business, and then figured out, hey, do you have a coaching program? And then I would hire them. And then it's kind of the fast track to business growth, is to figure out what other people are doing and implement those same strategies. And so, if you go to my website, gcspeaker.com, that's my corporate speaking website. I just figured out, how are people currently buying? How are people currently making decisions to book speakers? And then I set up my website in a way that walks them through that exact process. Mm-hmm. So find out how your current target market is buying, and figure out how to organize your marketing material in a way that moves them through that process.
And I'm going to, you said in the very first thing you said, it's not very sexy, but I'm going to make it sexy. What we're doing when we do market ourselves is we're creating this ripple effect, and we're creating a bigger impact, and we are bringing together a gathering and a collective of people that want to love and honor themselves, that want to be empowered, that want to be positive, that want to love better and be loved better. There is so much that comes when you start bringing people together. And that's what marketing is. You know, the unfortunate history of marketing, you know, when people think of sales, they think of some kind of, you know, sly sales personality, and they get afraid that that's what they're going to look like. And again, they've got to get beyond that judgment, because this is about, if you believe in your message, then shout it from the rooftops. Get out there and put yourself out there. And I, like I said in the beginning, I've seen you do that in a really big way, and more than most, in a very raw and very honest and very vulnerable way. And also in a way that says, look, I kick ass and I'm proud of it. And I'm proud of you for that. I'm proud to know you and to walk with you on this path, because that is what we have to do. And that's sexy.
Thank you. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Well said. Very well said.
Yeah.
You know, I think, and in today's day and age, you know, the explosion of coaches and counselors and people helping other people, it's really saturated the marketplace. So now more than ever, we have to find creative, authentic ways to get people's attention, and add value to their world. You know, and I learned this from Tony Robbins along the way. Is that, you know, business is a spiritual game. It's a game of adding value, you know, and the people and the organizations who can add the most value to people's lives are the ones who are going to thrive. So, I'm always looking at different ways at, you know, we have the same 3-day event every year, but we always look for ways to add even more value each and every year. And that's, I think, why we continue to grow.
I love it. I think it's powerful, and I think that it's needed, and I'm really grateful. So tell us how we find you. Tell us what's currently going on. I know that the greatest year of your life, 2020, is a big one. It's the year of vision, as Paula's coining it. And we've got just a few days before your early bird pricing for that event. So tell us what you're up to. How do we find you? What do you want us to know to stay in tune with George Carroll?
Yeah, it's our 3-day event. You know, it's a very transformational 3-day event, but I think people can kind of go to the site and read all the information, watch the videos, and figure out for themselves if it's a good fit for them. It's gy20.us. And have a look at the information. If you're ready to take 2020 to a whole new level, and you need a space, because, you know, I think it can be, I was doing an interview yesterday, it can be safe behind a camera, it can be safe online, but when you put yourself into an environment where real change can happen, it's a whole different game. So, you know, I invite people to come join us if it calls to you. Right now we have a buy one, get one free special going on, so you can bring a friend, family member, or a colleague. And we only have 200 registrations, or 200 seats total available. Right now we're down to 62 total seats left. We sell out every year. We'll sell out again this year. So if it calls to you, come join us. It'll rock your world in the most amazing ways.
I believe it, and I'm excited about it. I think that's great.
Thanks,
cool.
Paula.
Well, I'll definitely make sure that the information for all your websites and such is posted when I post the interview, so people can find you easily and readily. And I'm again, so grateful for your time, and I'm so grateful to call you my friend. This has been a really cool friendship, and, you know, we've been each other's cheerleaders for a long time. And we've gotten to do some really cool things together over these years, and this is one of them. So Thank you so much for making the time today.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. Thanks for having me, and thanks for the work you're doing, all of you.
Yeah, no problem. All right, that wraps up our time here with George Carroll. Thanks so much for watching. And if you want more information, go to gy20.us on George. If you want more information on Consciouspreneurs, we are at consciouspreneurs.net. Thanks again for watching. Make it a good day.